Hello, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Talk Film to Me podcast, where we talk about films in Kenya and beyond. I'm your host, Nkatha. Let's talk film. So, today we are going to be talking about Kanairo. Kanairo is a short film, 12 minutes long, literally a short film. It's produced by Real Strike Studios. Cast, the character's name is Jonte, literally the only cast. I mean, there are other people in the film for sure, but we focused on Jonte. Jeff Omondi plays Jonte. Then we have the director, Sisi Masiwanza, aka Sisi Maya. Then we have the producer, Clementina Kabudha, aka Clemo _ Kabu. I hope I said that right. So this film is on Vimeo, Vimeo. Yeah. So in case unashanga, what is this babe say? Vimeo. 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 It's a streaming, what I say, streaming platform. Like it's like YouTube, but an elitist YouTube. Like it's for filmmakers and artists. So if you want to actually find more content, film content, and I think Kenyan content, that's also a place that you should look at, which we'll also look at and review some films from there. Because I mean, I've known about Vimeo, but I've never really looked at most of the content that's on there until when a producer friend of mine, Karan Jangendo, sent me his film Last Supper, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And when Sisi Masi sent me the link to this film, to Kanairo, I was like, wait, I mean, so people actually have their projects on this platform. And I was like, okay, then this is definitely something to look into. So again, if you're like me, go check out Vimeo and see what you can find on there. And if you're looking for a place to put your project on instead of YouTube, you can put it on Vimeo. Wow, that sounds like a marketing. Can somebody tell Vimeo to pay me? Anyway, so this film was produced in 2023, released in the same year, but I have intel that they start production in December 2022, and the script was written in around May. It was directed and written by the same person, Sisi Masi. So I have, for this film, I would say I have much more information compared to other films, and it's not information that I've gotten online. Guys, I had a chance to talk with the director. So when I am talking about this film, when I say intel, I believe the information because I had it from the horse's mouth. So this film, I will start with interesting things that captured my attention. The first was that it had an all-male cast and crew. Yep, all-male cast and crew. They had two. Of course, there were female cast, two. One who was, I think she represented love, and the other one represented sadness, anger, frustration. I don't know how to put it, but yeah, literally two. And I was like, whoa, that's really interesting. And even majorly the crew, most of them were men, and I was like, that's really insightful, because this film, wow, I should probably have started with the synopsis, but I think I'll give the synopsis as I'm giving the summary and the plot for the whole story. We follow a young man through Nairobi, and he's from work and he's going home. So he talks with us throughout the journey home. And the conversation, even this talking, is not he talks with us. It's 5% of the entire film. So it's really, really interesting. It's like a silent film, but really a silent is just silent. This one is not silent. There's just not much dialogue going on, and I find that really, really interesting. It has a kick to it, guys. It has a kick to it. So there's that. They produced this whole thing in 2 months, the production, editing, pre-production, production, shooting the film, post-production, and then now looking into distribution, 2 months of it. It was a 1-day shoot. For now, if you're wondering how long it would take to shoot such a film, it was a 1-day shoot from 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. Now, if you're a filmmaker, you know how crazy like filmmaking hours are. Like, you have to be on set by 6, sometimes by 5:30, depending on the scene. If you want to capture dawn, if you want to capture sunset. And again, it's filmmaking. Like, majority of our light, like yenye tunategemea as filmmakers, is light from the sun, natural light. So again, you have to work with smart hours. And when it's dark, like, you want it to be dark, you don't want like a ray of sun somewhere and you're portraying that it's nighttime. So I was like, whoa, those are crazy hours. And to be able to achieve a shoot in one day, I must applaud that team. Because I have been on set where we were shooting our 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and we shot the film literally, I think, in 2 days, and it was a 2 minutes film. Even 12 minutes, and they shot in one day. Again, like, do you realize how crazy that is? Filmmaking seems chezo, but then again, if you understand the kind of preparation the director went into it, you're like, aha, that explains everything. So well, actually, something interesting, I had already begun recording this episode, and then right somewhere like the 12th minute, I see my phone ringing, and I'm like, I usually don't pick calls when I'm recording an episode, but I was like, let me just check who this is. And I found out it's Ceci Mercy. So I was like, let me just talk to her first. So I was able to like ask a few questions of like things I didn't understand. So I think I'm more excited about this episode compared to any other that I've done for the first 9. This is the 10th episode, guys. And this is the end of season 1. So we have done 10 episodes now, and this is the last episode for this season. And then you'll see us in season 2. But anyway, I digress. So again, yeah, it had an all-male cast and crew, with only like majority of the cast and crew was male, which is something interesting because again, this film tackles men's mental health. Like, it just follows a man and the troubles that a man goes through. Just a normal day in a man's life, and you see all the problems that this man is facing, and you're like, whoa, that's a lot for one person. And he goes home to no one. He's alone, and he just goes home to himself, and he talks to himself, and it's not a talk that you'd want your person, your brother, your father, your best friend to talk with anyone. And I was like, whoa, it's a really dark film, but it's also very heavy and very educative. Very, very educative. Honestly, I would say very, very educative. Again, like, guys, I have too much intel on this one. It was shot in 3 locations. So Nairobi CBD, we see Uptown, we see Downtown, we see like landmarks I saw in Itaje, I&M, Mwindi Mbingu. Like, you see this upper part of town, the way it's gorgeous after our governor put up those paintings and allowed people to paint all over town. It looks really nice, actually. It looks really nice. Then Umoja 3 and Makadara. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Kushoot downtown, they were day scenes. Have you seen the rush hour that is in town in the evening? Because I'm pretty sure it was almost that time. Or like at 3 p.m. or 2, like somewhere in the middle of the day. Now, I commute all the way, like I commute to work and from, like to and fro. And I hate the hustle and bustle of Tao in the evening. You're brushing shoulders with people. There are those 2 lovers who are walking together holding hands. There are those 2 besties who are looking at clothes on the side, so they're not sure whether to walk faster because anaenda kiangalia the hawkers on the sides. Wewe tu unajundika tu kwenda home. It's annoying. So it's really, so I can imagine I'm not shooting, I'm just walking home. Now I'm imagining I'm the camera person, I'm the DOP, and I'm shooting this. Or I'm the actor. People are looking at me. It's so easy to break out of your character. And I'm like, whoa, they did an amazing job. So again, high risk, like literally that's high risk. Imagine how easy it is for these people to get mugged. Imagine I don't know what cameras they were using, what sort of cameras, but I can imagine already, like, niko sure kuna mtu aliwaona kaanza kupiga hesabu akatu like ile kamera nikaweza iwai mse, and Umoja 3. Do I need even to explain? And let alone that, I've already given you the time period that they were shooting this film, like 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. The 3 a.m. scenes ni hizo za uko Umoja, so ni usiku wanashoot kitu 1 a.m. Umoja 3, bro. Like, clearly, like, the effort put into this film is not something you can just close your eyes to. You're just like, yeah, but we do that. Do you put yourself in such locations? Because the film, like, comes out really nicely and it's so authentic. Again, something I really enjoy in films is when I watch a film and I see a place that I recognize. I don't know why, but I usually get so excited. Like in the last film that I reviewed, Nafsi. When Shiko was, we reviewed it with Nimo Givenchy. If you haven't listened to it, go and listen. And Shiko is played by Kate, actress, is being wheeled into a hospital. She's pregnant, she's about to give birth, she's having complications. She's rolled into Mpisha and was like, wait a minute, this is Mpisha, like just right here. I'm like, whoa, I love that. And then now I see this is Tao. I know this place. I know Ronat Ngala. I know I&M. I know this, what is it called? The painting, yes, of Eliud Kipchoge, written no human is limited. Like, unaona, like, ini Kanairo mse. This is Nairobi. I really love that about this film. And Makadara. So I was like, whoa, this is really, really cool. So guys, let me just walk you through the story. So we follow Jonte. He's leaving work. He's dressed in a nice white shirt and some official pants and a sling bag that's hanging around across his neck. Yes, diagonally. And like anakanza ametoka job and he's walking home just looking at Nairobi. And the opening statement is Kanairo. And I was like, yes, punchline, yes. I was like, that's really cool. Say, Kanairo ni rembo, and then he passes the Eliud Kipchoge painting, no human is limited, na anapita hapo, and then he walks by this couple. I know I've said I hate couples when they walk together. Do I hate being that couple? No, but I'm very conscious when I'm walking with somebody I am dating and we are holding hands. Like in my head I'm already thinking, kuna mtu nyuma yetu anafikiria venye mufikiria na anatoka kwa njia haraka sana. Kama unafanyanga hivyo, please ndeni mpendanie home, ama mpendane na mtupe space. Si wenye hatuna mtu tunapendana at that time tupite twende home. Anyway, I digress again. So yeah, Jonte looks at this couple. He says how beautiful it is, and there's this lady and guy, they're loving on each other. You can tell they're lost in their world, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's like, I love love. I love seeing people love each other. It gives me it gives me a warm feeling inside, and I like that warm feeling. So I was like, oh. So he walks, and then when he's walking, sasa tunaanza kusikia kanjo. Now if you have not been in this situation, I already can tell you're a very bougie person. Where you're in town, you're buying some tops. Me, I like buying some of my tops in town, because zinauzangwa mia, it's 100 bob. So uko town, umechagua tops zako 5, niko like, for 500 I can get all these tops. Na nikiingia online, these thrift shops wanauza top moja 350 ama zingine hata 500. And with that 500 I can get 5 tops. Nifungie hizi 5. Then you give the hawker your tops akukunjie, because they will put maybe in a bag or wrap it up with a newspaper. Alafu umpe thao. He's supposed to give you 500 back as change. That 500 fare yako kurudi home iko hapo. Alafu tu usikie kanjo. Mtu achukue tu, this hawker just picks their things, starts running. So it's either you run after them because they've already gone with the tops that you are buying. So you don't have the tops, you don't have the change, and they've already gone with the money for the tops. So you can't just say, okay, it's fine now, I'm not going to buy today, I'm going home. Stressful. So Jonte is walking, alafu anasikia kanjo. So pia anaanza kukimbia kwa hiyo direction. And it's not like to be a black thing. Like when we hear or see people running, you also start running and you don't even know what it is. At least Jonte knew it was kanjo, but nilijuliza hata mimi thinking ingekuwa ni mimi bado ningekimbia ndo nitoke in their way. Have you been in town when you're working also and then there's somebody carrying a huge load? Maybe awa watu wa mkono anabebea hoka some things they go set up. Hata hasemangi tu, anasemanga tu we kosa kusonga. Ama wewe chunga songa alafu kose kusonga. Atapita na wewe na hiyo mzigo. So Jonte anasonga alafu ana realize yo nimetoka uptown. Sasa ndo naingia downtown. He goes to an alley, removes his white shirt, akaeka kwa bag. And for me, that was such a, how do I put it? An eye-opening scene. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like literally you can see the transition from, because Uptown was so chilled and relaxed from the way the couple were walking, all lovey-dovey, and Jonte was walking around and admiring the city. And then now he gets to this part, it's getting dark, and he puts the shirt in his bag and he starts, even the bounce in his step has changed a bit. He's walking differently now. And I'm like, okay. And then immediately after he's changed, the next scene, a guy is robbed. Guess what he's wearing? Not a white shirt, but he's wearing a shirt. He looks all neat, all well put together, like just some guy who looks like he's from a nice job. Ametoka, he's going home. Anaibiwa. And people are standing there watching. Again, isn't this very relatable? Haven't we seen videos of somebody recording someone else being mugged in town? You're like, okay. I mean, I partly understand. There are some situations where you can't do anything about it. But in this specific scene, you just look at people watching this person. And one man passes by him and anamwambia ni nini mbaya, and then he says, oh, I've been mugged, ni nini, anaambiwa, so you go to the police, and a central police station, and a report. And this guy's like, nothing will be done. And he's like, welcome to Nairobi. Like, and Jonte says it was not his day. And you're like, whoa. And see, like, this were men that stole from this man. So I'm like, okay. And Jonte keeps walking. And the next thing I remember him, I think he thought is, wow, I hope they Japanda. And again, very relatable. I have been in this situation. Niko na 60 bob. It's a Sunday. I'm from church. I have only 60 bob. Najiambia, if fare is 70 or 80, I will start smiling at the conductor and explaining myself. Unajua, akisina, there are some who won't listen to you. Kuna mtu akona hiyo 80 bob, ata akona so, na akisa hiyo change ako sawa. So utashukishwa, wewe mwenye akona pesa apande. So I could literally relate. I'm like, yeah, I get that. And then he gets a message from a loan app. And I was, first of all, like the first look, I look at the phone, you can see the way it's cracked. Honestly, that was also symbolic for me. Niko tu like, yeah, mesho mtu ni ngumu. But the way the story is told, Jonte is, by the way, this whole time, we are following Jonte. He's talking to the camera. He's talking to us. He's talking to you and I. He's talking to the audience. Nasema, and hiyo time yenye alikuwa na change shati, he looks into the camera and says, like, akatuangalia sisi audience, akasema, kutoka hapa tutaongea nikifika BS bus station. Kama ujui BS pia, I can tell you're bougie. There's nothing wrong with being bougie. We just now realize that you are. Anyway, akasema tutapatana BS. Uko tu like, yeah, I totally relate, because there's no way you're going to call me when I'm at Afya Center and I pick up your call. Tutaongea nikifika home. Na nikiibiwa simu na nalipa fare na M-Pesa, na lazima watanitisha kutoa na waseme waone message. So I was like, very relatable. This is literally Nairobi. This is how it is. This is literally how it is. I was like, yep, this is definitely Nairobi. So yeah, we look at his screen and it's very cracked. Got to like, yeah, umse anakapitia. This man is going through it. And then the message is talking about a loan that he hasn't paid, and if he doesn't pay, he's going to enter CRB. But nimeshasikia mtu akisema akona 250 bob kwa mfuko. Na kama Ferrari imepanda. By the way, that's the first time I've heard that name. I was like, oh, Ferrari means fair. I know, pia wesa ino una realize. Like, oh, that's what it means? Yeah, Ferrari, fair. Nime learn something. Nime learn some sheng. So like, I know this guy only had 50 bob, so they're asking him for 9,000. He definitely can't pay that. Have you looked at his screen? Protector is 200 bob. Yep, he can't pay that. And you're like, wow, poor guy. Not literally. I mean, also literally. Also literally. And the minute he sits down in the matatu, there is this guy who enters. I think he's wearing like a pink shirt, and he's walking some type of way in what we would call a feminine way, with his hand put up and the finger sticking out at a 90-degree angle. I hope you're trying that out and also trying to do what I'm doing right now. But yeah, and the conductor follows this guy and is like, hey, watuka ingiange hapa. I don't know whether I'm more of a subtitles person, so I read the subtitles. Apo sikuskiza. I wanted to see what the subtitles were saying. So the conductor was telling this person, akuna, there's no gay person who enters this matatu. And Jonte says, in Nairobi, there's a way that you'll present yourself and it won't go well for you. And this goes back, and in my head I was like, is that why you removed your white shirt? Because he removed his white shirt. He was wearing an official shirt. He removed it, and inside it was like a t-shirt imechapa kiasi, so inakaa tu ni mtu, he wouldn't attract attention, anakaa tu mtu kama watu wengine. White shirt, that whatever he was wearing when he was in Uptown, he looks like an Uptown person. He looks like somebody who's from the office. Nice job, good pay, was going to a nice home. Easy target. Like, yeah, you look like somebody I can rob and get away with something. Unaka uko na kitu naeza iba. You get? So I was like, oh, so if this guy was probably not wearing a pink shirt, like nobody would realize that he's gay. But now that also brings it out completely. And again, we all know that in this country, homosexuality is not accepted, haijakubalika. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's also a Kanairo thing. I mean, just recently we saw this stud somewhere. Where was it? I've already forgotten where it was. But because she was masculine presenting, she was wearing masculine clothes, some men roughed her up like really badly because of how she presented herself. And I was like, that's really sad. Like, just let the girl go home. We literally just had a conversation about how men say that we sell ourselves because of how we are wearing. So if you wear something too provocative, it's a problem. If you cover up completely again, if you look like a man, it's a problem. What's wrong? Anyway, again, I digress, but it's related, I promise. See what I did there? I hope you listened to that podcast, by the way. It's dope. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that's another issue. And then inside the matatu, I was like, I don't know whether they realized when they were doing this, but wow, this is matatu culture. Literally, uko kwanganya, noise. I think I'm old now because I see it as noise. Before, like, my mom used to get so mad at me because I'd actually bought those matatus, those nganyas. Na tukayo niko na music yenye inalia boom boom boom. That's what my mom used to call them. Nilikuwa boom boom boom, and it has screens. I go looking at those music videos because again, I can't watch them at home. Kwetu, I can't watch them at home. Mamangu akupata ukiwatch hizo video ama hata babangu, utajua ujui, utajua uko kwa nyumba yake. So I was like, whoa, okay, this is literally matatu culture. And that's, again, Kanairo, like, again, very relatable. Like, I don't know whether when the writer was choosing the name for this film, whether she had thought of it just telling the story of Kanairo or also representing Kanairo, because all these things, I'm like, yep, that's how Nairobi is. Again, yep, that's how Nairobi is. Again, yep, that's how Nairobi is. I was like, okay, that's cool. And John Tay mentions that he works at a call center and his employer has delayed his salary. So he just hopes that things are going to go well, that, that fare haijapanda, that it's the same. And he mentions alitaja Mwas, I think a guy called Mwas. Again, this is a Kenyan thing. If you're bougie, you won't understand. When I used to live in Kasarani before, na nilikuwa na namba ya kama 3 or 4 conductors or drivers, so that kama hujui line ya MSL achana ile ya lofa. Okay, hizo metro za kwenda Juja pia zinakwanga na crazy queues, but MSL also had crazy queues. So I used to have a number where I'd call the driver beforehand. Me and my best friend literally still do this to this date, where we call beforehand, so that by the time you're getting to the stage umekewa kakiti. Mi ni hao madem wenye unaonanga wanakuja wanaingia wanaketi hapo mbele, ama unasema neza keti hapo, unaambiwa hapana iko na mtu, and you can see it's very empty. Mimi ndo hao watu wenye unaambiwa iko na mtu. Usini judge, but yeah, inabidi, it's Kanairo, you have to take care of yourself. So yeah, niko tu like, so Jonte says, I hope Mwasa ako nini. So I'm like, yeah, we all know a guy, like we all know a conductor, or we all know a guy who knows the conductor, such that ataka ni fair anaweza lipa a bit less compared to everyone else, ama yatambwa asimame from town all the way to home, and then he won't pay the nini, ama atasaidia somewhere, something like that. So I was like, that's also very relatable. That is just how Kanairo is. And I was like, okay. And then I was getting at he works at a call center, and I was like, whoa, I have worked at a call center. I worked at a call center, I think, for 6 months. I couldn't stand it. But it wasn't even for a Kenyan call center, because I work closely to one right now, so I know how crazy being a call center agent can be. Like, I know how stressful that can be, because I was one. But again, I have seen the difference. I was an international call center agent, so Kizungu, I think, nimetoa huko partly. Ilikuwa inabidi uongee na crunch up your nose and speak like an Australian person, because it was for an Australian-based client. And mtu atakutusi, nilitwa black monkey. Guys, I am light-skinned. I know I shouldn't even say like a privilege or anything, but where I have never realized I was black until I was on those phone calls and they realized I am from Africa, let alone Africa, Kenya. Waka like, you black monkey, you just want to steal from me. Like, pia hii reputation ya corruption pia imeenea. It has gone before us, and not in ways that we'd enjoy or want to hear about, but it has. So then here you're black and they'd cast you out. Niko tu like, I did not even know that you could use that word to insult someone. So when Jonte mentioned the call center job, I was like, whoa, I totally get you. So in my head, I already assumed he's working at a call center as probably a debt collector. That's what came to my head. And I understand how most of these places work. And I was like, whoa, yep, very relatable. Kanairo, again. So, mtu wetu Jonte anashuka matatu. He's already arrived. And then anapita his friends. So you'd expect maybe he'd say hi to his friends, sit down with them a bit, wapige story, umeshindaje, umekansiku poa, manze leo sijui imekuaje. Because I think us girls do that. Like, in the evening, if my best friend calls me, my best friend is called Olive. If I call her and then we talk, I'll tell her, like, my day was like this and that and that. And, like, we'll have a chit chat about it. I don't know, expected men to do the same. So for this scene, I was like, yeah, I guess not everyone does that. And then these guys were seated somewhere, wanachana jaba. Kat, mira, wako jaba mbaya. I think it's like that. No, meaning Miro should know these things. Wanachana, wako jaba. And then they tell him, si hata utuongeze kachwani ya sahi. Kachwani, for those who don't know, like me, I also learned this very recently. Chwane is 50 bob. So, like, they're asking Jonte to give them 50 to add more to what they're already consuming. Like, to add more mira. And Jonte is just wondering, how can these people just sit here like this, so lazy, instead of going out to look for jobs? I go hustle, let alone the fact that I don't even have enough money in my pockets. I can't give them what I have. So Jonte says, hey, leo sina. And then this guy is starting, this guy, they call him an idiot, says he's like that. And then they say they'll even, ayuko sawa, tutamzika, na ni mimi nitamzika. And I was like, what is that talk? And this, like, that's like, it may look like just a simple thing, but it was so heavy for me, in that I realized that most guys, really, you guys don't share with each other. And I was talking to Ceci Maya, the director, and she actually opened my eyes to something. This is why we have bestie. This is why a guy will have a bestie, a female bestie. Why? Because we women tend to listen more. I know you say that sisi wanawake hatusikizangi, but imagine we do more than men listen. We offer that, like, that's why, because it's easier for a man to share with his female bestie than to go and tell his male friend that, yo bro, I'm going through this, sijui nini, jali utakuwa tu sawa, and then they move on to something, or they go to a bar or a pub, bia tatu tu, ukikunywa utasahau. Us babes, fine, we'll go drink, but we'll sit there and I will cry about it and talk about it. Ama will go and eat chips somewhere, Sanford, Rogers, Fritters, somewhere, and talk about it. But for men, they're not able to talk about their issues. I would want to understand why. And I hope also this changes for you guys. Like, ongeeni. And I don't know whether it's because you don't have safe spaces among yourselves. You find the safe spaces where there are females. And I'm not even saying out that men are... Wow, like, this is so heavy for me, guys. This is so heavy. Like, ongeeni, guys. Even in the recent, like, femicide issue, I went to the march, and every time I'd go to a post and look at the comments, and I'd see how men are talking about it. And even some came to my inbox and they were like, Ati, why can't you also speak up for men? And I'm like, why can't you speak up for yourselves? We have not refused to support you when you speak up. But the problem is also, when you men speak up, other men also put you down. And I think that also stops you from talking about it completely. And an example that I gave Sesimasi when we were talking was of this guy who killed himself, the Embo teacher. I know there was a whole other story as to why he killed himself, but let's go with the surface story, that he killed himself because his girlfriend rejected him and he couldn't take the rejection, and so he opted to commit suicide. Did you see the comments that men made on that, like, on that post? Ati Sims hujionia mambo. I saw somebody saying that, and I was like, yeah, this is why men can speak up. Because you believe each other should be strong, should not speak up, you should be closed off. That's nonsense. That's why men suffer. That's why you go through a lot. Like, talk it out. Find a safe space. Become safe spaces for each other. You can tell the passion because of how fast my mouth is running. You can tell it, yeah. But I was like, whoa. And then again, another prominent theme, unemployment. These guys are seated there because they don't have a job. And I was like, whoa. Like, right time I managed to fix so many things. Like, unaona, hawana job. So if they don't have a job, what are they going to do? They're going to beg for money and they're going to consume drugs. So this money that they're getting, they're not even using it for anything good. They're just going to chumira. If you consume it, I do not, like, missy judge. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's a drug. That's what it is. So they don't use this money for something beneficial to them. They just use it for drugs. And I was like, wow. So as Jonte is also continuing working, ameshapita friends amwambia si leo, they've cast him out, yada yada. He goes, and as he's now nearing home, he meets this anasikia sauti mahali, and then he starts walking slowly. Hata mi I think ningefanya hivyo. Unasikia kuna kasauti mahali, mi sitaki kwenda mahali kuna shida, so you listen, what's happening, what's going on. And then the next thing, he sees this lady chasing the man away, and from the conversation we can hear that this man was probably cheating. He was somewhere, and the lady is chasing this man with a mwiko, and this man is imploring the lady, babe, relax, like, ngoja, sijui nini kwenda, sijui nini, a lot of insults they pass around. And Jonte can't do anything, but even I was talking with the director, he says even the muffling of the sound, because sauti imeenda and then the man vanishes and then we don't see him. It's how muffled the sound of the man is. Like, literally the man in the society. You're not able to speak up. Whenever you speak up, like, something quells you, like, uko tu unambwa nyamaza. And Sesimasi said something. It's hard for men, and I agree with her. It's hard for men to be able to express themselves when they're with a strong, opinionated woman. Is it wrong to be opinionated? No. Is it wrong to be strong? No. It's just, it becomes like a tough environment. And I also understand where these strong, opinionated women come from. When you've gone through so much, the way you've been brought up, the kind of environment that you have been in, where you have to really speak loudly. You find these women who speak loudly, they have to like shout. You can tell clearly where you come from, how kuna skiza, so you feel like there's a need to shout. And if the man has not come from a similar environment, then this woman completely overpowers the man, and the man is not able to talk for himself. Again, gender-based violence. Have you seen also when a man talks about that he was beaten by his wife, what other men say? Leave alone women, what other men said. Tiwe mwanaume unachapwaje? Hizi ndo vitu mnaambiana. And when we women say, when we start complaining about gender-based violence against women, you say even you beat us. And then when we ask you to talk about it, it's a problem. Please, men, speak up for yourselves. If you're a friend of mine and you're a man and you're going through something, I hope you get the courage to speak to someone if that someone is not me. You shouldn't be going through things alone. And somebody once asked me, like I told this person who's really close to me, like, can you talk about what you're going through? And they were like, no, what will it help? And I know probably you're also thinking the same, like, it's just talking, it doesn't help with anything. But from where I stand, every time I've talked with my person or somebody I am close with about something that I'm going through, I end up feeling a bit better. Sure, I might not have found the solution immediately, but it makes the situation feel lighter. Of course, you're still going to have to think of the solution, but it feels a bit better. And that helps, other than letting these thoughts stew in your head and that you're just alone sinking into depression. Like, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Another thing before I forget, the guys who were seated, the friends who were seated chewing nira, they were discussing football. And again, I have seen that mostly during, like, just before elections or during election periods. Do you know those are the guys targeted? Because they have nothing to do, they don't have money, and they can sit down and talk about a certain topic. So topics that they talk about mostly is either politics or football. Hapo ndo ukitaka kujua game ya jana iliendaje, ndo uketi hapo hata kupea highlights zote, like you'll get everything A to Z. Anaitangwaje ule nini, what is the name? Commentator. I don't, like, there's a very famous commentator, but his name has vanished from my head. But anyway, yeah. So they were talking about football, and I was like, yep, that's definitely what happens kwa base, zinetangwa base. Watu wameketi wanachumira, they're talking about something. You'll find most of the time, they're talking about music. Yeah, things like that. So switching back to the lady. So the lady has chased away the guy, and the sounds are muffled, and he vanishes somewhere in the darkness. And Jonte is looking at this lady, and this lady was nini unaangalia wewe, you know, like, follow that man and also become a manhole like him, a fellow manhole. I think she said something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's sad. That's sad. Jonte goes home. Na by the time anafika kwa mlango, I don't know why, but he was struggling to literally open his door. I was like, why? What's that? What's going on? And it was symbolic for something. And I was like, like, you've had a really long day. Like, I have seen you, like, from Tao all the way coming back home. And I've seen how hard, like, it has been. Like, they're just small details, but they've literally opened my eyes into seeing it's not just that man who's being stolen from, you changing the shirt. It's a routine that you have to do every day after work. That sounds stressful. Hey, karibuni kas. Sijui kanaweza kas kwa hii podcast. Sijui kama mangu anasikiza. Anyway, it sounded really stressful. Anyway, so this guy opens the door, anaingia. And do you know that feeling when you get to your house and you open the door and you get in? Now you will know whether you have a good house or whether you like your house, depending on the reaction that you have. Do you look at your house the minute you enter and you're like, I'm home? Or you're like, I'm home? You get the difference between those two reactions, like you're happy or you're like, like I'm back here. I'm finally at home. So for this guy, it was Ilea, I'm home. Where now your demons confront you. Every thought that you had during the day, hiyo ndio time inasema umetuhepa siku mzima, karibu, welcome back. So he takes a look around, and we can see the camera moving all sides in Angalia, and you're like, okay, you live a sad life. And as he talks to himself, we get now more insight or get more information about his life. So apparently Jonte was married, he has kids, he lives in a bedsitter in Umoja. His age has progressed. I don't know how old he is, but miaka yake imesonga. According to his ears, he shouldn't be living in such a place. And he's literally talking to himself, but it feels like somebody else talking to him. It feels like society, the way it looks at a man. And I was like, whoa, this is deep. Do you know what he tells himself? Like jimalize, end it all. Uko na hizi loans, mshwari, fuliza, sijui Dallas, sijui branch. Your mother back at home. Your kids don't want to see you. Your wife ran out. That's why your wife left you. And the camera pans to Fuko kill, like rat and rat poison. And after that, like after we've seen that, of course we premeditating, like, shit, is he going to drink like rat and kill himself? And then the last scene, last shot, is the camera panning into a newspaper with the suicide rate written on it, and you're like, wow, what a film. That was literally 12 minutes of that film. Like, I said it's 12 minutes, but as you talk about it, as you watch it, you're like, wait, it feels like it's so long, but at the same time it ends, you're like, wait, that was too short. I just can't explain it. The cinematography in this film, amazing. And I tell you why. I talked with Ceci, and she told me that she planned this short decks like for long. They had workshops. How many films in Kenya, like filmmakers, even you as a filmmaker, how many of you do workshops where you sit your whole cast and crew and take them through the script to understand what they've gotten from the script, to understand whether they've gotten the story, to understand whether they have a deeper understanding of what you're trying to achieve? Not many. Stacey Massey did that. And that's why this film is so clear. Like, even though it ends with us thinking whether this guy killed himself or not, the problem has been brought out so well. We can appreciate all these themes, like from beginning to the end. We have seen all these things, very thematic, very stylistic. I was like, whoa, like the stills, amazing. Even as Jonte is passing akoko downtown, tunaweza tell akorona Ngala, anahepa. Unaona vile unahepanga ukivuka barabara, usigongwe na matatu hii side, kuna nduzi inatoka hii side ingine, it's on the wrong side of the road. The camera was dunking the same way, and I was like, that's really cool. I hope you will be able to have an interview with Ceci Massey so that you guys can actually listen from her. But the preparation that went into this film, guys, that's why this film looks that good. The sound is amazing. The lighting is amazing. When Jonte opens his door, like there's a blue light and you can tell, that's the moon. Like ni usiku. You see how dark it is at night, but like ni dark, but again it's bright, so you can tell it's jioni. It looks nice, and then it opens halfway. It's like representing two sides of him. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking the cinematic bit of it, but it was really, really cool. And what he was wearing the first time when he was in Uptown, like I've already described, he was wearing a white shirt and some nice official pants. I was like, whoa, that looks nice. And then he changes to that shirt that he blends in with the rest of the men in the crowd, and you're like, mtu unaweza sema ule anakaa chokora, ule anakaa kuniiba. He looked like that. And I was like, wow, what a way to tell a story even through costume. I like the subtitles. The subtitles bit of it. Me, I'm a person who likes watching film with subtitles. Me ni hao watu. I know most people are like, what do you mean? But yeah, me, I enjoy watching films with subtitles. And one thing that I hate is when the subtitles do not match what is going on in the film. This film was not like that, guys. The subtitles were like at par, like kabisa. Whatever is being said, whatever is being shown, is whatever the subtitles say. Something important about this film: the music. Now, I know we talk about music and say the score was amazing. This score was amazing, but also something else. It was part of the story. Because there was, like I said, in this film, there isn't a lot of dialogue. Jonte doesn't talk a lot. But the music in some bits tells the story. Like in Nairobi, like ukitaka, si ukitaka, like you have to close your windows. If you want to sit comfortably, go and sit in your house. That's why you can open windows. In a matatu, if you open the windows, your phone will be stolen. Like, yes, that's Nairobi pickpockets, up archives. Hawezi fanya hivyo ama hapo Ngara. You can't do that. You can't do that. So I was like, damn. So the music score was amazing. And it's an original. Guys, the original. Tu walifanya kazi safi. So it's an original and it's on Spotify. So if you'd want to listen to it, go search Kanairo on Spotify. Go listen to it. So lastly, wow, nasikia nika nimechemka, but really, I don't think I've ever watched a film yenye iko na so many themes in such a short time. In such a short time. In such a short time, and I'm like, wow, this is great. This is great. Like everything, the stills, like the stills, the shots, the camera angles, like unaona purpose ya hiyo angle na music inaendanisha inakupea like an insight to the story. So atakaa kuna mtu anaongea na unasikiza the song, we unaendelea kuwatch story. It's still part of the story. That is amazing. That is amazing. I think Sesimase should give people a workshop on how to do such a film where everything is brought out so well, especially guys, if you hear the amount of preparation that went into the film, you will understand why I keep on raving about it. Anyway, I digress. So, nimedigress kweli hapana. So, let's finish off. How much would I rate this film? This has been my best film, guys. It's the last episode of the season, and I think it's my favorite. I'm going to give it a 9. Yup, that's how much I liked it. Hakuna point yenye nimewatch, like sina anything bad to say about this film. Hakuna point yenye na feel walihata something. None at all. None at all. Like, I feel like they nailed everything. I feel like they nailed everything, and for that, I applaud them. The one is just so that I can remain with it and feel strong and feel autonomous in this. But 9. Definitely a 9, because again, there's always room for improvement. So I'll give it a 9. So something to note that this film, they're still working on it. This was a short film, so they're working on a feature film. So let's hope somewhere along the year we get to actually review the feature film. A blooper. When Sesimase and I were talking, she mentioned that the producer pulled out the morning of the production. And we imagine as a filmmaker, everything is set. Call time ndo tu mnangojea, alafu exec wako anakuambia, I'm sorry, we can't do this. Breaks up with you. But then again, if you're in the business of film, you understand these things happen. And when the investor cannot see what you are seeing, it might be hard to be able to convince them to see, that this is how we're going to go about it and it's going to bring money. So, yeah, I totally get an investor who would pull out. I just feel like it's a bit unfair the morning of. But Sesimase says that whatever happened has really taught them a lot, and the journey that this film has taken them through has helped them learn a lot. And I was like, I think that's good. That's fair enough. If it came with a good lesson, then that's good. That's well and good. I feel like I'm forgetting something that I really, really wanted to say. Oh, yes, the awards. So it won, I will mention one award that I am certain they won. They won the Judges' Choice Awards at Sondeka. But this film has been nominated it's on a festival run currently. And it has been nominated in so many places. So you can watch it on Vimeo and Soleil space. So Soleil is spelled as SOLEIL space. It's been premiered. It's been screened in London, in USA, I think in France, and Canada, and I'm like, whoa, that's good. And Rwanda. So hii filamu imetembea. So if you haven't watched it, if you've just listened to the episode without watching the film, go watch it. It's an amazing story. And I would like to karibu niseme challenge. Ni mapua, guys. It's night time. I would like to challenge every filmmaker. Do not overthink your story. Literally, in a story ya mtu akitoka job, akienda home. Do you know, like, there are people you can ask, like, tell me about your day. They'll just say, I went to work and work was okay, and then that's it. And then there's somebody like me who will rave and rave and rave about it. Tell you the minute I entered a matatu, then this guy. So there are different ways of telling a story. Do not overthink. You can literally tell us a story about how you came from work, how you went from work, how you went to church, just anything. So if you're a scriptwriter, I think this is also a film to watch in order to get some inspiration from. So that is the end of this episode. Honestly, this has been an amazing episode for me. And not just an amazing episode, but an amazing season. I will see you guys in season 2. We might have a bonus episode. I don't know. I'm not so sure, but we might have it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And then we'll come back for season 2 very, very soon. I don't know when, but very soon. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Thank you so much for your support. For everyone who's listened, who's shared with your friends and family. Thank you so much. For every person who I've had on the podcast as a guest host with me to talk about film. Thank you so much. So guys, that has been all for today. Thank you so much for listening in. Remember, you can find my podcast on Spotify, on Google Podcast, and on Pocket Cast. Please follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. Until the next episode, it's a wrap. Bye!